Hello everybody. We're going to be practicing fractions again today. This time when we're identifying, we're going to be paying a really big attention to the shaded and the unshaded pieces of the fraction. Yesterday when we talked about shaded, we said it was anything that was colored in. Unshaded was anything that was left without some kind of color to it. It was almost left blank. So we're going to need the following signs today when we're working. The greater than sign, the less than sign, and the equal to sign. So just a quick review. Whenever my mouth is facing a number, that is the larger number. So in this first one, that greater than sign right here, it's like saying 4 is greater than 2. I know 4 is the larger number here. My second sign, the tail, is going to be facing the smaller number. I call this the less than sign. So I would do 2 is less than 4. Finally, the sign we're probably the most familiar with is the equal to sign, which also can just mean it has the same value as the number on the other side. I can say 2 is equal to 2. They have the same value. Now, let's put that to practice. In the following example, our fraction bar is set up almost like a number line. I can see where it starts and where it ends, that one representing one whole. Our fraction has already been labeled for us when it comes to the shaded pieces, and we can check that pretty easily. Let's count the total number of equal sized pieces in the bar to see what our denominator would be. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there are indeed 4 equal sized pieces in this fraction bar, which means we're dealing with fourths. And 1, 2, 3 are shaded in. So the shaded portion is going to be 3/4. Now we need to figure out the unshaded amount of this fraction bar. Now, I can't just start at 3/4 and count and say 4/4, because that's not accurate about how much is actually unshaded. I just have to count this one bar right here. Well, there are 4 equal sized pieces and only one of them is unshaded. That means 1/4 of my model is unshaded. I need to think about which one is the greater amount. Well, when I look at this one little lonely piece next to all 3 of these larger pieces, I can tell that 3/4 is going to be greater than 1/4 because it just looks like more. Let's try another example. This time our fraction bar is cut up into eighths. I can tell from the denominator here. If I wasn't sure, I could always count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there are indeed 8 equal sized pieces, which once again means I'm working with eighths. That means I can write 5/8 as shaded. Now let's look at unshaded. That's going to be these 3 pieces here that don't have any red in them. As I said, 1, 2, 3. The unshaded pieces are 3, and I know there's a total of 8, so 3/8 is unshaded right now. Let me compare them. When I look at my model, I can tell that this piece is much larger than the 3 little pieces over here. That means 5/8 is greater than 3/8. I want you to stop and just think for a couple of seconds. Have you noticed any patterns when it comes to comparing our fractions, especially when we're talking about picking the larger fraction. This will be helpful tomorrow. Last example. I can tell there's 2 equal size pieces. One is shaded in, which means 1/2 of the fraction is currently shaded. Now I need to figure out unshaded. Well, there's only one piece that's unshaded as well out of my 2 equal size pieces, which means 1/2 is also my unshaded fraction. That means when I compare these, I can tell they're the exact same size. 1/2 is equal to 1/2. In your examples today on the practice page, you're going to notice that you have to identify the fraction, shaded and unshaded, but you're also going to have to tell me which is the greater amount for each of those fractions. This is going to get us ready for comparing fractions that's going to be coming up tomorrow. Think back to that question. Did you notice any patterns when we were comparing fractions? Keep that in your mind as you work through your practice problems. I'll see you tomorrow.